republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to make the announcement to come out of executive session and go around General Law 42-46, 5, subsection A, subsection 5. No votes were taken, and I ask that we seal the minutes.
It's a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Robin.
Roll call.
Mrs. Bottomoli?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Zalinski?
Yes.
Mr. Biragad?
Yes. Open forum pursuant to 42-46-6. Anybody who would like to come up and speak at open forum is welcome to do so. You will have a maximum of 4 minutes to speak, say whatever you would like. However, the people that are here to speak on the Stop and Shop issue, if you could just hold off, you don't have to get up during open forum. We're going to give you an opportunity to speak when that comes up on the agenda. Okay? So, Mr. Pelletier, you have Stop and Shop?
Yes.
Okay.
Donna Lacey.
Oh, I'm sorry. Donna Lathy? I missed you. They skipped the line.
Donna Lacey, 1105 Old Smithfield Road. I'm here just to state that I wanted to thank you for the changes that we made to our street about a year ago. But it seems as though starting this summer and exactly now especially, the traffic has built up quite a bit again. The other day, and all our neighbors are following, going all the way around, not cutting through. And we do that to find people coming against us, like 11 people I counted on my way home. I went home, I called police. The police came, I think, just to pacify the residents. They did a drive-through, didn't stop anybody. There were people right there going by. We just think that the issue needs to be looked at again. Maybe police need to patrol maybe once a week, maybe once a month. If that's not feasible, maybe it's feasible to have some kind of camera like they have in Providence, where people get mailed a ticket every time they're on the street illegally. People are driving very fast again. It's becoming dangerous again. The road is really cracked up. I mean, trucks and traffic, and something needs to be looked at again. And hopefully my neighbors will be here when it's addressed, I guess, sometime in the future. But the chances of people getting hurt again is high. So I just wanted to bring that to the committee's attention. Thank you.
Mr. President, can we discuss scheduling to put it on the next council meeting? Mr. Iglesias? It's good welfare, but it's an issue of a safety issue.
You can schedule.
Yeah. Mrs. Todd, how does the next meeting look?
Value all your licenses next professional class.
Okay. Mr. President, may I ask the indulgence of the town council to support putting this on the next agenda?
Sure.
And I'd like to know what the feasibility of and the cost of putting a camera. I think
Camera is not practical. Camera,
You can't do it.
You can't do cameras.
You have to set up.
No, it's not the issue. The issue is legally you can't.
Oh.
You just can't do it.
We'll have that discussion at that meeting, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't just have police, you said, have stop by.
I don't see a problem with asking the police to
Yeah.
patrol
We don't need to
occasionally
talk
and keep
about
the people
this.
guessing as to when.
Sounds like there's a secure idea. Just have the chief say, hey,
Yeah.
stop by, just do it once a month.
Just a phone call, I think
Yeah,
we
because
can.
if they think we're not
But the
police.
thing is, they came on November 1st when we called. And there was a person driving in front of the police cruiser and 2 people behind the police cruiser. And the cruiser came back around, and obviously, I don't know if they've been told not to issue tickets or what, but nobody was given a ticket. So I think they've got to
I think a few
control,
people need to get whacked with a ticket in order to keep track of that.
I think that once people start to get a ticket, they're not going to do
I
it. So if it's once a month, I mean, it'd be nice if it was once a week, but I understand that's a little bit. But once a month could be possible, and then it'll stop.
That's not
It was
unreasonable.
wonderful at the beginning. It really was.
Okay, that's not
Thank
unusual.
you.
We can do that.
Thank you.
All right.
I can do that, huh? Go for it.
Mike Clifford?
Thank you. I get notifications, as some of you might know, from the Secretary of State's website. I sign up to get the alerts for agendas as they're published for the Town Council, the School Committee, the Budget Committee, and the Parks and Recreation Commission. And there was a post on Facebook last night that dealt with the naming of the athletic facility, and I had never seen that on any agenda. So I was puzzled when I saw it, and it brings me to my pet peeve. I've had to file a complaint with the Attorney General in the past regarding last year's budget adoption. We weren't specific on the agenda as to what you would take action on, and they did rule that it lacked specificity for people to understand what's being discussed. So when I went through, not having remembered seeing the naming or the renaming of anything on any agenda for the school committee or for the Parks and Recreation Commission, if it was in there, maybe it was before I started following their minutes, but I did find eventually on the school committee policy from the school committee agenda from September 18th, under old business, Article 4, they listed this as an agenda item. 2, school committee policy II.E. And then it goes on to name the title of the policy. That's what there was a discussion held on about naming or renaming. Even in the minutes it says renaming, and the understanding now it's naming the facility. But the minutes of the school committee meeting actually say renaming, and it refers to an athletic complex. But my point is, this agenda item gave me, as I received the agenda and read it, no clue whatsoever that they were actually going to be discussing naming or renaming a facility. I read this, and I think most people who read this agenda item would interpret that they're reviewing a policy, because they simply listed the name of the policy and the section number. It didn't indicate that anything was being discussed to be renamed or named. So when there's confusion in the community, it's always brought back to a lack of communication and transparency. And this agenda item gave me no indication whatsoever. If I had seen that on the agenda, that they were going to be discussing naming of the facility, I would have been at the meeting. That's why I asked to get the agendas and sign up for the agendas from the Secretary of State. When I see an agenda item that's of interest, I go. I didn't pay attention to that. I thought they were reviewing the policy. That's what it indicates to, I think, any average person. So, and then when I did try to figure out from that post last night what's going on, after I found the agenda, I looked at the minutes. And the minutes say the original request was submitted to the superintendent in March of 2018 to rename the complex in honor of Matthew. And the previous sentence had referred to the athletic complex facilities. So, and the motion that was made at the meeting to table discussion on it was, or rather, it said, on motion by Fran Johanna, seconded by Mrs. Nato, the committee unanimously voted 5-0 to continue the process and call for a public hearing to discuss the matter of naming the athletic complex as Veterans Memorial Auditorium. It's important that the agenda be specific and that the minutes are accurate. Why they use the term athletic complex? Everybody in town knows the athletic complex was named, who lived here, knew it was named after Dr. Joyce. So, it was hard to figure out from the post that was on Facebook last night what exactly was going on. And until middle of the afternoon today, I still couldn't figure it out and piece it together. And I follow the minutes normally and read stuff. So I just want to reiterate how important it is that the law dictates that agenda item has to be specific, and to put down that you're discussing a school committee policy and name the policy, and not disclose that you're discussing renaming a property of the school or naming it for the first time and what that property is. That doesn't comply with the Open Meetings Act. So I'm just going to once again say, would you please try to monitor and send out a memo? And, you know, when Mrs. Hamilton was the administrator, she used to mandate that boards and commissions participate in a seminar with the Attorney General. And the Attorney General's representative used to come to North Smithfield, and one member from every board was asked to go to those seminars on the Open Meetings Act and how to list an agenda and what has to be in your minutes. And I don't think we've had one of those. I don't even think she had one in her last year or two there. But before that, when I was on the Budget Committee, I had to go every year because somebody from each committee was asked to go. And I think it was helpful. Now I go to the one at the state. I saw the town administrator there.
You got the wrap it up.
Thanks. It leads to confusion.
Cynthia Roberts.
My name's Cynthia Roberts. I live at 49 Week Street. I'm just setting the timer to help myself stay on time. Yesterday I heard about the agenda item on the under the last section G about discussion by the council, vote or other action on support for naming the North Smithfield Football Stadium, ... And when I saw that, my concern was that I had not heard about that. And it's not that I personally need to hear about that, but I've been monitoring community engagement because that's the way that I'm choosing to contribute to try and just bring people together more. And just to reiterate, because maybe some people are not around at the different conversations, I've been helping to facilitate input into the comprehensive plan to have more community engagement in the vision for the community through the comprehensive plan. And when I saw about the naming of the stadium, it called me to, and I just want to state that my father-in-law is a veteran. He's still alive. He helped liberate a concentration camp in Germany. My biological grandfather, George Roberts, died in World War II as a 26-year-old over France. And my step-grandfather also served in World War II. So this is not anything about veterans. It's about the process. I have a lot of admiration and appreciation for veterans. So my concern is about the process because I work in public health and I'm trying to promote social cohesion in the community I live in, and I grew up here. And when a featured community resource is named by a small number of people, and that was my assumption when I saw the agenda item. And for me, it's because I'm feeling distrustful, frankly, related to the Nike resolution that happened in town, where everyone did not want that resolution, yet it still passed, and it brought a lot of really negative feelings out in our community. People felt like very put upon and very upset over it.
All right, you can move on to your point.
So it's connected to that. So when I saw this item and I hadn't heard about any engagement, and I've been purposely, proactively having key informant interviews with our town administrator and really trying to come to meetings and then share information on the Engage North Smithfield website, I was concerned that this stadium would just be named, as I said, by a small number of people. And it didn't even occur to me who that would be, and that's the part that I wanted to mention to April and Jim, that they reached out to me and said, well, why didn't, on social media, why didn't you ask about the policy? It genuinely did not occur to me what the flow chart was about who creates the policy, who oversees it. I just saw that item and had a reaction about community engagement. And so that's my thread and theme, is engaging the community. So going over to the public health aspect, I work in areas of primary prevention of violence. And communities that don't feel that they have self-efficacy are more violent, are more unhappy, are more depressed, are more likely for suicide. There's literature on this. This is factual. This is what I am motivated to do. And I'm working on this in Newport and getting a lot of practice in it, and I want to see it in my own community. So the community should have input in naming the field. It doesn't matter to me ultimately what the name is, but the process should be a vigorous, community-engaged process. And there are examples that I found very readily in the city of Portland and the city of Vancouver that engage youth in naming their fields, engage the community in naming parks and things like that. And it makes the community feel like they belong here. And I was just at a meeting today with the Department of Health and highway safety people and other violence prevention and injury prevention people, traumatic brain injury people, and everyone is agreeing based on our federal funders that promoting social cohesion is what we need to focus on to be healthier. So my interest, getting back to this, is that I would like to see a vigorous community discussion on it, and I give great respect to the context around veterans. I'm not at all commenting on that in any which way. And I am continuing to engage residents. And from any party, it's not about politics for me. It really is about communicating and wanting to be around each other. And that's a gift that I can contribute. That's a way I am contributing. And finally, I want to say that this coming Saturday, November 10th, and we've discussed this numerous times, is our second comprehensive plan engagement event. It's at the high school from 4 to 7 p.m. And the high school, the superintendent's office was generous to not charge us to use the space, and we really appreciate that. So please come. We're going to be talking about our community and what we want out of our community, and it's a potluck. So thank you for listening to me about my concern around community engagement. And I just wanted to end by saying I do genuinely apologize if there was any hard feelings about the way I stated my concern on Facebook, and it wasn't at all my intention to cause people to be upset. Genuinely, I did not want that to happen. And if people did get upset, that's not my responsibility, but I will follow up based on what I learned tonight, because it's not my intention to have people be upset. Thank you.
You know what, I got to address something that you said, though. This is the United States isn't really like a true democracy, right? It's a representative democracy. We elect people because having a true democracy is very inefficient. You just can't go to the people and with every decision, you'll never get anything done. So we elect people to make those decisions for us. If you're not happy with the decisions that they make, you don't vote for them again. So there's nothing wrong with the process that we have, where we have a committee, in which we did have a committee. The committee came up with the idea of the Veterans Memorial. They present their idea to the council. The council we're only here tonight to support it and then send it to the school committee. That process is the system that we have. We can't go to the people with every decision that we make.
I totally agree with you about that. Government needs to be efficient. However, I think there are critical opportunities, and that's like exactly why I proactively met, and I was grateful that he spent time with me with Mr. Azovsky in April to start talking about community engagement. I believe there's multiple points in our life together as a community where we can devote time to engaging on them. And based on a lot of the answers I saw on one of the Facebook pages of people who grew up in this town, people feel very tied to for example, the old superintendent, Dr. Joyce. I grew up in town. I love Mr. Peliquin. He was my principal. People have deep feelings about their history and its past, present, and future. So again, I certainly, this is why we have elected officials to help make decisions. But the transparency process and involving community is central to that. It's central to trust building and making people feel like they belong here. And I do believe that. And I appreciate that you're listening to me. Thank you.
Is it Freya? Freya?
Hello, Freya Saloyo, 25 Jefferson Road. I'm up here today also to mirror what Cynthia said about it's very important to involve our community in large decisions. And while we shouldn't be making speed bumps for the government by causing unrest or protest or what have you, I think that our town has a genuine interest in consulting with its constituents and consulting with townspeople to make sure that we are a cohesive community. One of the things said in the minutes of the last school committee meeting, let me see if I can find that. In item number 12, it says, Chair Lombardi will arrange for a public hearing on this matter as he wants the entire community to be involved. We will follow our school committee policy for the next steps. So upon reading that, I don't feel as citizens our hands are being batted away. I look at that and I look at it as an invitation to speak. So all we're really asking is, while we're discussing this, when is this forum going to be? When can we sit down as a community and talk about possible needs? We don't want it to go to a vote tonight because we just want reassurances. This isn't a personal attack upon anyone. We're just nervous. We're nervous because of past events. We just want reassurances as a community that we're going to be able to sit down and talk about this nicely and not just rush through. Because when we think about it, Dr. Joyce was a very amazing person. He fought in World War II, so he is a veteran. So to be naming it veterans, it's almost like you're kind of watching over a bunch of things, and I feel like the people who loved him most should have a chance to get their
We're not
things together.
changing the name of Dr. Joyce, and Dr. Joyce's name is still going to be right where it is.
Well, that's why we're confused, because on the agenda, and this is why there's miscommunication. On the agenda, it says, well, actually, no, I'm sorry. In the minutes, it says, no, I'm sorry, on the agenda, it says change the name to Veterans Memorial Stadium. That, it says it right there. We wouldn't be getting all upset and all hot and bothered if it didn't say that. Support